the financial interests in the couple are regulated by what is called a matrimonial regime. And that's what I would like to talk to you today. Because in an international marriage, by this I mean by two nationals of the same country or living abroad, or persons from different countries, it is essential to know under which matrimonial regime you find yourself. But before I go any further, I would like to tell you, or to insist on the fact that I'm not a lawyer, and it's through necessity that I learned, and consequently my main and only aim today is to prompt you maybe to get more information about your matrimonial regime, dig into the matter, and see if you have to take steps. The first thing one has to know is that willy-nilly, every couple in every country is subject to a matrimonial regime. Because if you don't do anything before you get married, then you're subject to what is called the legal matrimonial regime, or of your country of nationality, or your country of residence. There are two main categories of matrimonial regime: community of property or separation of property. And in between, there are quite a few variants that can be very subtle and, of course, different from one country to the other, whereby, for instance, everything that is acquired after marriage is put into a common pot, except what is inherited and what is donated. But what comes into the common pot are also the debts. So that in case of divorce, or when the company of one of the spouses go bankrupt, the assets will be divided either equally or unequally, and so will the debts. The second thing, which is very important in an international setting, is that legal matrimonial regimes, as I said, change from one country to the other, but most importantly, without you knowing about it, if you settle in one country, you might be subject to the regime of that country and not the regime of your country of origin. Even if you got married, and if you're married to a national of the same country, you married in your country of origin, you move, you settle in another country, you're subject to the matrimonial regime of that country, which you might not know. And if you move, the regime might change again. And the necessity to get informed. Where can you get information? The first place where you can get information is your embassy. They probably will not give you that information, but they'll direct you to a lawyer who speaks your own language and will know. The second source of information is a lawyer in your own country, or a notary, or what we call in French a notaire. Be careful when you go to such a person that that person is well versed in international family law and have foreign clients, monarchist clients, because some don't know what are the conventions in force and what can happen. The third source is, of course, the internet. But like everything in the internet, you get the best and the worst. I have prepared a few addresses for you of sites that are reliable, and there's one over there, which is extremely well done, but unfortunately it's only for the European Union. It's an official site, it's in 21 languages, so you find everything there. Now, once you've got the information, what can you do? First thing is, go get married. That way, you administer your own assets, your partner, his or hers. You don't have to divide anything. What's yours, yours. What's his or hers, hers. There might be some disadvantages there, especially when you have children or for tax purposes in certain countries. You can also choose to have a partnership in certain countries, but not in every country. So there you have to be careful. But the second thing you can do is when you get married, you can choose your matrimonial regime. And you don't necessarily have to choose the matrimonial regime of your country of residence of your own country. You can choose another one. And that's important to know. The third thing you can do is conclude a marriage contract. And like in any contract, you put in there what you want. 2 conditions: that it's not against public order and not against the interests of the family. But there, you decide and not the state. But in that case, you've got to go to a lawyer, because it becomes a very legal thing and you don't do that on your own. And the lawyer will draft the contract and will validate the contract. The good thing about that is that a marriage contract remains valid over time and territory. You move, the contract moves with you. So, the good news is, as a conclusion I will say, the good news is that the matrimonial regime can always be changed. Even after 20 years of marriage, if you get information and you realize that, that's not what you thought it should be, you can change it. It's not free of charge, but you can change it. But whatever you decide, make sure that you know what your matrimonial regime is. Because, particularly in an international setting for marriage, I will say that to be romantic is beautiful, but to be pragmatic can be very useful.